The second chance after the betrayal. Should we try to resume relations, or is it all over? We need to put an end to it and part ways? This is what we will talk about today. And unfortunately, a really huge number of families face similar problems. By the way, not only from the men's side, but also from the women's side. I often write to men who have faced this situation. I love you, give me a second chance. Let's go over the points so that there are no questions left. If this topic is important to you, and you have at least once encountered such a situation, or, God forbid, are afraid of such a situation, like and listen carefully to the topic. So, let's figure it out. The very fact of physical change is already such a cherry on the cake. To be moreover, the woman will be in the position of the observer, that is, she will stand and watch from the side as a man tries to prove her loyalty, devotion, and love. This is absolutely not a working scheme in relation. If the married couple decides to keep the family after the betrayal, it requires a thorough analysis, study, and transformation. I am not, and I remember one more family couple that I had. By the way, it's very correct that they came. I'll explain why. There was a betrayal in the family. The man betrayed. And after all this happened, the woman went and did the same thing. And she told him that it's for you. It's so you don't do it anymore. And when the man found out about it, he had even more roof left and they ran away. That is, they parted. They quarreled, everything went, you and he went, and that's it, they left. She's a prostitute, he's a whore. In general, the whole bunch. Parted for a while, but they understand that without each other, they cannot be. And come on. They met once, another, third. Let's try everything first. Let's try everything from scratch. And this phrase, let's try first, she basically brought them to me in the office. To start first means to increase awareness in relations with each other. When a man and a woman communicate at the expense of developed behavior strategies and do not change them in any way, we have been working with this couple for about 4 months. People are doing well. Why? Because in the relationship was not built through resentment, through a sense of guilt. You must. No, you must. I will avenge you in no case. Now everything is great and wonderful. Therefore, if you give a second chance, so-called, you give it to yourself, including not only to your man, but to yourself. And you do not need to run around him and constantly poke his nose, remind him. I will give you a very simple example. There is a category of women who are at the top of the list of the most successful women in the world. And this is a very important category. And this is a very simple example. There is a category of women who are in deficit sexuality. Deficit sexuality makes a woman in any way avoid the manifestation of sexuality in communication with a man. She is at the level of her consciousness and can want to have sex with him, from any point in the world. Are there any indicators that can be used to understand whether relations are worth preserving or being betrayed? This is all a sign that these relations are worthless and need to be destroyed. Look, there are 2 very good indicators. There are disadvantages and there is unworthy behavior. If a husband bent over, tied his shoelaces, and fainted, this is a disadvantage. Or he snores at night, it is also a disadvantage. Or when he drinks tea, he does like this, because his father drank tea like this, grandfather, great-grandfather, and all men before him. These are disadvantages. He can be forgetful and confused. And if a man gives a woman a backrest, is it a disadvantage or a bad behavior? Yes. It is important for women to understand, and for men, in principle, what is more important in our relationships, the shortcomings or the bad behavior. If the relationship is filled with shortcomings, and this leads to conflicts, it is an ideal family, it is an ideal relationship. Why? Because with internal irritation of the shortcomings in psychotherapy, you can cope in a very short time. But the reaction to indecent behavior is a much more difficult situation. A woman comes and says, "Look, my man has not changed, asked for a second chance." But she continues to communicate with him. Sometimes they write to each other and say, "We have nothing else, we are just friends." Are you crazy? Are you really confused? What the heck is a second chance? And where are you looking, to, stupid? I almost said, stupid. Well, how else would you say? Where are you looking at? He stopped sleeping with her and now he's in big trouble. They call each other, text each other. Give me a second chance. He behaved like a bastard, and he continued to behave like a bastard. This is an important point. Many couples are in this shit of a bastard behavior. And he is transmitting the bad behavior, and she is transmitting it, and they are trying to learn not to notice it. No, it won't work. Therefore, if you take a second chance, or you have a second chance for a relationship, here is a very important point to pay attention to. Did the bad behavior disappear from the relationship, or did it remain? If it remained, then neither the second, nor the third, nor the 25th chance will help. For one person it's normal if someone comes up to him and suddenly grabs him or pinches him or stabs him. But for another person it's a physical violation, he's uncomfortable with it. And one thinks that it's okay, and the other thinks that it's not okay. But how can I convince my wife that if I suddenly grab you from the side like this, it's okay, I'm not scared? They wait for him to change and they will live happily. No, unfortunately, this is not so. Again, these victims come up. The victim always thinks about happiness, which he really does not want. A person who is hungry, what does he do? He gets up, goes to the fridge, opens it, takes the food and cooks and eats. He does some actions because he is hungry. And here, if I want to be happy, I do something for it. But I'm not just talking. You don't drown my voice in reasoning. So I'm sitting, she's a burger against me, and cheese is dripping from it, and I've taken it in my hands, and it smells of smoke, salted cucumber, ketchup, onions. No, I won't throw out the onions. Eat, of course. I'm not saying that you should not eat. If a man says that everything will be fine, here is a simple math. Just give a percentage. If there is at least 50 to 50, chances are not bad, I'll tell you honestly. And if there are 99, you may not even think that something will change. And another very important point. Unfortunately, there are families that have already decided to go to psychotherapy together after the betrayal. They go there, and often such girls write to me and say that the husband has become completely different, I have become different, and we are working on our relationship. But I still can't forgive him. It hurts me very much, we seem to be together, I love him, but I can't forgive him. I ask a very simple question, what do you feel? What do you think, why can't you forgive? What do you feel when you want to forgive but can't? And most of the time they say, pain, I'm somehow anxious. I'm sad. I feel abandoned, unnecessary, and so on. And the feelings in the body begin to describe. So, if you try to forgive a man through what you feel, you will never forgive him. Because every time you remember the fact of his betrayal, you will always be unpleasant. To a greater or lesser extent. Do you feel what you are doing? No, you don't have to do anything with them. They can be. They can exist. They can manifest. You may be sad. You may feel bad, or offended. You can share this with your partner. You can talk about it in the psychotherapist's office. You can identify what it is. Anger, for example, or irritation. Go to a workout and beat a dummy. Or take a baseball bat and hit it. Break an old clay pot. I don't feel forgiveness. It's impossible to feel forgiveness. You can only realize it. If I decided to stay a woman and let her betray me, it means I forgave her. And the fact that I feel bad has nothing to do with forgiveness. It has to do with a completely different state.